designer and UX UI designer for user experience and user interface. She's worked in a variety of industries and has expertise across multiple software and platforms. So we're very happy to have her here with us to talk about prototyping because as you all, I hope by now, understand that this is a crucial step in developing your startup. To have a good prototype that looks good. The aesthetic element in it is incredibly important too. It's not just about functionality. So the UI is how good it looks, and the UX is how easy it is and intuitive it is to use. So Rayan, I'll leave the floor to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Hani, for the introduction. I'm gonna start my video. Okay. So hi, everyone. I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm Rayan, a UX UI designer with 9 years of experience working with agencies, clients, startups across different industries, from early ideas to full product launches. I've also, over the past 5 years, I've been working in mobile banking apps, and I've also worked in sectors such as fintech, F&B, super apps, and many more. I've also offered audits, consulting, and design solutions, specializing in user-centered design, wireframing, prototyping, usability testing, and user research. So I'm gonna share my screen, and let me share my screen so we can start. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So today's session is about helping you with the process of building your product, especially if you're getting started, or more if you want to understand more what you need to focus on, what are the practical steps forward. So yeah, so just to get the feel for the room, if you want, type in the chat like how many of you already have a prototype or product. Like just to you can type okay, nice. How many are still in the idea phase? You can type I or okay, amazing. Okay, that's a good point. We'll address this in the coming slides. So let's start. So first, what we will learn today. So first, we'll go over what UX and UI really mean and why they are essential for startups. Second, where to start and what you need before designing. So before diving into the design process, we're gonna highlight where to start and what you need. Then what makes a strong MVP and the common mistakes to avoid. Then we'll go through the difference between a startup prototype and a design prototype. Then we'll have like a simplified breakdown of the UX UI process. And after that, I'll show you the common mistakes of and what to avoid in UI UX prototyping. And by the end of the session, I'm also gonna walk you through Figma and FigJam quickly to show you how it works, how you can sketch your ideas. And finally, we will leave room for questions or you can show me your prototype or anything. All right, so let's get started. What is UX UI and why it matters? So UX stands for user experience. It's how the product works, the structure, flow, and overall experience. So it's how intuitive it is, how easy it is to complete a task, and how the user feels throughout the process. UI, user interface, is how the product looks. So the layout, colors, and visual details. So it's basically it's the visual side of the experience. So think of it like this: UX is the base, the structure, for example, and UI is the interior design, the decoration, the furniture, paint. So both are essential and they work best together. So we need both to have like a final product. So why it matters? It helps users navigate, builds trust, and increases product success. So for startups, good UX UI isn't just nice to have. It directly impacts how easily users understand your product, how confident they are, and how likely they are to come back and come back to your app or website or anything. So many early stage products don't fail because like it's a bad idea. They usually fail because users can't figure out how to use it, or like they don't enjoy the experience, or they find it hard to navigate it. So, or it's not, for example, visually appealing. So it's very important to know why it matters and how to build trust throughout the process. Okay, so where to start and what you need before designing. So you have this idea of your product. So you don't need a full product or MVP to start designing. You just need to have like clarity. So we're gonna see. So startups don't need a full product or MVP to start designing. They need a clear problem. So what you need is like to know what problem you're solving, or a rough idea how the product might work. You need an idea of the target user, for example, small businesses between 25 or 45, tech savvy, or you need an idea of the target user, a rough vision of the product, benchmarks. So having a few benchmarks, competitors, or products you like also help with user research. It's very important. If you've got the pitch deck, even better, but even like some quick notes or sketches are a great start. You don't need to have like everything figured out from the beginning. And of course, the willingness to iterate and test. From there, a designer can help you define core features, shape user journeys, create the MVP, and build a prototype for testing or pitching. Okay, what makes a strong MVP? First, what is an MVP? It's the simplest version of your product that solves a real problem. Okay, so 5 tips to make your MVP stronger. First, clear user flow. Make sure the product is easy to understand. Core features only, no extras. Avoid adding unnecessary features. Focus on the key problem. Like I know when you start creating a product, you tend to have a lot of ideas and a lot of features, but this can backlash. So it's better to have the main features first for your product, and then you can build on in future versions. You need to make one more tip is to make it clickable and testable. You can use those software like Figma, Proto.io. You don't need coding at this stage. And another tip is to have early feedback from 3 to 5 users. They can be your friends or anyone, just like to test the idea and to see if it's working. What do they think about it? And finally, to have a clear value proposition. Now, common mistakes. So the common mistakes are the opposite of what makes an MVP strong. So first common mistake, as I mentioned, is building too much too soon. Focus on one main feature, don't overload your MVP with extras. Second is polishing visuals. So don't waste time on the first stage on a perfect design. Functionality comes first. Third one is skipping user feedback. So get feedback early to guide your next steps. Don't wait until you have the final product to send it to others. You can start by sending first drafts to users. It will help a lot. Fourth mistake is designing for everyone. So focus on your target audience. You don't need to please everyone. And five is not having a clear core feature. As I mentioned, make sure your MVP solves one main problem so users know exactly what it does. So now let's start with types of prototypes. So we have startup prototype versus design prototype. They are both separate. So what's the difference between them? First, startup prototype. So now that we now that you have the core feature, you have the core feature. Now, what's the purpose of the startup prototype? One is to test core functionality, gather feedback, and validate the idea. Who creates it? Founders. The key focus is simplicity, speed, basic interactions, and attracting funding. The tools, as you can see on the right side, you can start with paper sketches, with Figma or Proto.io. So in the first image, you can see like it's a handwritten sketch, and the second one is it's more clean or aligned, but it's still a paper thing. And then the third one, it's more clean. They're using like shapes or wireframes, but it's still a rough idea of this prototype. Now that we've seen startup prototype, what is design prototype? So design prototype is the purpose of a design prototype is to refine look and feel, showcase final design interactions. Who creates it? UX, UI designers. The key focus is visual details, usability, brand consistency, and refining the user experience. The tools are Figma, Adobe XD, InVision, Sketch software. So as you can see here, in the image here, you have a color palette, you have a brand, card styles, background. You can feel the tone of voice of the app, of the features, of the screens. And on the second screen, here's a screenshot from Figma prototype. So you can see how the components are linked to different screens. So yeah, that's for the design prototype. Now that we've covered design prototype, let's see how we get to the design prototype to the final product. So there's a process that UX UI designers do before getting into the final product. First, and it's divided into 6 stages. First is the research and benchmarking. Sorry. So this is the most important stage for any product creation. It's very important to study competitors or similar products. It really helps understand what works and what doesn't at this stage, and identify opportunities for differentiation or creation of features and sitemap. So this is a very, very important phase. Second is the UX concepting and ideation. So here we brainstorm solutions, we create user personas, we define user journey through a sitemap. So you define, like you create a sitemap, how the section will work, what user journey they follow. And it's about understanding the problem and planning how to solve it effectively. Then comes the third stage, which is the wireframing. So the wireframing at this stage, we create low fidelity wireframes. And these are basic structures that show layout and user flow without detailed design element. It's just like a bit like the startup prototype, but the difference is more here we have the user journeys defined, so we know that this button does this, it takes you to this page, so it's more elaborate. Then the fourth stage is UI concepting, which is the mood board. So this helps decide on the tone of voice, like the colors, the typography, the look and feel, the overall visual style of the product. And in this stage, it's very important to have at least a brand identity, like a direction or because it's very important to have like a brand identity or at least to know which color you want, which uh, which feeling, which tone of voice. So this exercise is very important before starting with the UI design and iteration, which is the fifth stage. And in this stage, we turn the wireframes into detailed UI designs. And finally, we have the testing and feedback. So we test the design with real user to gather feedback and make adjustments. So this helps improve the design and the overall user experience. Okay, next. So now we're going to see the common mistakes and what to avoid when in UX UI prototyping in the final product. So the common mistakes that I usually see are things like designing screens with no user journey. So when you design screens, it needs to be consistent with the rest of the app. You can't just design screens without context. Like, for example, you have those three screens, you don't know what to do with them, like you just want to design them. No, you need to follow a structure, you need to follow other journeys, like how the other flows are thought through. It needs to be consistent. Second is inconsistency in the UI elements. So things like having different heading sizes or color across the screens. Like, for example, in one screen, you're using a font size that is 16 pixels, and other 20, no. So the consistency in UI elements is very important. For example, if you have the primary button might appear in filled in one screen, and then in another screen you use an outline button, but it is a main action, so it might confuse the user if you're using it for a different purpose, like not the same for call to actions. Third one is no design system. So first, the design system, to explain what it is exactly, it acts like a guidebook. So it defines your typography styles, your colors, layout rules, buttons, components. So not having a design system leads to inconsistency. So it's very important to have one. Like, for example, if you're using a card component with like shadow and text on it, if it's clickable, then in other screens, if you're designing a new card style, it should also follow the same style. Like, for example, white color with shadow. You can't like use the same functionality with different um, styles. They should be consistent. There should be like a guidance, layout rules. Sorry, I'm gonna drink because. Okay. Um, Also about design system. So having one, it also helps you scale. So when you want to add new features or screen laters or updated versions, so you'll have everything in one place. If you have the cards, the typography, so you follow these guidelines. So it's very important also for scaling your product. Then another common mistake is poor visual hierarchy. So this is one of the most important aspects of good UX UI, also to have visual hierarchy. Meaning it means like structuring your layout in a way that guides users to the most important elements first, like what to click, where to look, or what action to take. So it's very important to have like a hierarchy of the elements. And another common mistake is not prioritizing mobile first. So since you know that most users are on their phones, so designing desktop first and then trying to adapt it to mobile later just doesn't work anymore. So you have to make sure your design feels natural and is like the way you're designing the desktop, also to keep in mind the mobile version to see if it also work on mobile. And one of the common mistakes also is using, and I find this very important also, is using UI to compensate for unclear UX. So this happens a lot, trying to pretty up a screen when the actual user flow doesn't make sense. So for example, if your onboarding has too many steps or unclear instructions, adding, for example, illustrations or color animation won't fix it. Like you need to rethink the flow so that it makes sense. So it's important to avoid that. And finally is blindly copying competitors. So it's okay to get inspired by others and have like references, but don't just copy their flow, their screens or UI elements. So what I do usually is I take the best parts of competitors, I take screenshots and then I create one that has that I improve them to fit the product. So I get inspired from different screens and then I create one that has elements from each one of them. So yeah, that's for the common mistakes. Now, I wanted to ask you, so I wanted to see if anybody or can vote on which one works in the screen, like which one is the bad or good UI, do you think, on the screen? They are both similar, but there's like a minor, uh, there are some, right is good. Okay. Okay, let's see. Great, yeah. So it's pretty obvious. The reason why the right is good because there's a text hierarchy. You can see like the title, the subtitle here. For example, the title of this section underneath, it's a new song. The button is smaller, the subheaders. So yeah, that's very important because, for example, here you feel that it's one sentence. Here you can feel that you can see that okay, this is additional info. It's not the same one. Okay, next one. Mm, Thank you, Diwa. Yes. Okay. Who can tell me which one works and which doesn't and why in the comments in the chat? Okay, the first one. The right one is the correct one. Left is good. Okay. Okay. And the iconography, the icons, which one is the good one? Okay, let's see. Okay, great. So yes, so the login screen here you can see that there's a primary button, secondary button, tertiary button. Like you can see that this is the main call to action, this is the secondary, this is the least least action you want users to take. And here, as you can see, like icons are it's very important to have consistent icons across the app. And this, like, you need to have a library where you have like where you adjust the icons or create them from scratch to have the same thickness, same style, same feeling. It's very important. Okay, now here. So this one on the left, you have an animation of a modern full design. And on the right, there's like a screenshot from this landing page. Okay. So does anybody notice anything here? So here it's a screenshot from this video. Anyone? Yes, it's a desktop view. So this button here, it says I want to invest. Okay, I'm just asking if you notice anything here, like anything. Yeah, okay, the CTA button. Right, this one. I don't know if you can see the text here, maybe it's not very clear. Yeah. So the image on the left is just to show you that it's an animation, modern design, cool design. That's it. Okay, so it's fine. I will tell you. So here, the problem is this is the main call to action, which is I want to invest. I'm not sure. Maybe you can't see it clearly. And the problem here, so when you see it, you don't know that this is the main call to action, and it's not very clear that it's clickable. So it's clickable, and so you need to, for example, here to make it more to have it in a different color, more vibrant. It can be orange or any other colors that's more attractive because it's the main call to action. Yeah, exactly. Adiwa. Thanks. Okay, here it's very obvious that the one on the left has the bad UI and the one on the right, but I only wanted to share this just to show you that both images are mobile banking apps, and just to see how like the icons used here how it invites the user more to just have a clean design, a modern design, like to make sure the balance with it in a big font, for example, the contrast between the colors, you have the transactions here. Uh, so just to show you the difference between like a good and a bad design. So finally, before we move on to the questions, I just want to take you, I will, okay, so I will tell you a few tools that you can use. You have Figma, probably you've heard of it. It's perfect for both design and prototyping. You don't need to be an expert to get started. You can just use it to sketch your ideas. It can be very effective. And Figma, FigJam and Miro board are great options for brainstorming. You can easily add images, notes, ideas. Even you can create sitemaps, tables to organize your thoughts. And we have also Figma community and Dribble. If you need inspiration in Figma community, you can find a lot of templates and design resources, even iconography. You can find anything there. You can download them and check them out. So yeah, I will. And yeah, Proto.io is also very good for interactive prototypes and testing. So I will walk you through Figma quickly, just to show you how it works. So when you create a new file, you can choose a new design file or FigJam board. Let's start with the design file. Here you have the toolbar. You can click on frame to choose, for example, the format you want. You can have like phone format, desktop, tablet. I'm just gonna pick phone for now. So here you have the shapes. Let's say you choose a circle for the logo. So this can be useful for startup prototyping. For example, square, I add the text here. You can change the font size, let's say 16, and add multiple ones. And then you copy paste this, and let's say I want to only have this component appear when I click on it. So let's say I have this here. Okay. Okay, so here in Figma you have these two tabs, design and prototype. So if I click on prototype, I can now link the components. Let's say I want this to change to this screen when I click on it. So you just drag and drop the plus here to the next screen. And now you click on the screen you want to view, this one, and then the play here, present, and it opens as a prototype link. And then let's say I'll click on this, it changes to, it's very simple, like prototype, and then you can share it with others. You can copy the link and share it. So that's for the for creating a design file. Here, if I want to create a FigJam board for brainstorming. So for example, here you can add sticky notes. You can add, this is very useful for if you want to build a sitemap, like let's say you add this stick here, and then you have the arrows, and you can like map out your product. Even you can change the like the arrow direction or shape. You can add tables, you can add as much as you want rows. So even you can drag and drop screenshots. I'll show you some templates so you can see, for example, there's one for user persona here. Here you can find templates, like you can type in or search here. Let's say user persona. So you have a template with like tips, sticker, interest. Yeah. So that's it for FigJam. Now, yeah, now any questions? Feel free to share if you want your prototypes or ask anything.
Thank you, Rayan, for the presentation. Very informative, very nice, very cool. Joe Nami has a question.
Yes. 1 second.
Thank you, Ryan, for this session.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask this question. I've already built a front end and deployed it on Vercel. So is there any way I can copy or import that design into Figma to work on it visually and to edit a few stuff? Thank you.
So your question is if you can export designs from Figma to the development website.
From Vercel, and I have deployed it. It showed in a website form, and I need to edit few things. Is there any way to export this file or this design into Figma to work on it manually and to design a few points?
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. I'm not very familiar with the software you're talking about, but maybe there's a plugin where you can. I think you can only export from a design software to a design software, not from a development software to a design. But if you're using Figma and you need to have the code or CSS, there's a dev mode here option where you can take all the information from Figma. And I'm not sure if from a technical development how it works, but I know how you can export code from Figma to any like software. But I will look into it. If you want, just type the name of the development software you told me about, because I don't know. Okay, Versal. Noted. Check it. All right. Uh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Questions? We have questions?
Sure, I
Reem?
can. Oh, yes, Liam.
Hi.
Hello.
I have a question. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation. It's very informative. I took lots of notes. So
Thank you. Thank you so much.
The issue that I feel like I'm struggling a bit with this because I'm very far from everything that you just explained. It's very new to me. And my question was, from your point of view, would you recommend, if I'm currently creating my prototype, would you recommend that we bring like a graphic designer to the team so they can have better or more expertise in this area, or is it something that doable, يعني, from my end?
Yeah, so from your end, you need to have like a clear value proposition, to have a clear idea of the core features of the app or website you're building. That's very important. Hala, if you feel that you're not familiar, which is very normal, يعني, it's for the UX UI designers to do this, so you don't have to get into it. So yeah, probably it's better to have someone, basically not a graphic designer, because people confuse graphic designer with web designer. Graphic designers are more, they do branding, identity. It's more of like print, the print side. Web designer are the digital side of design. So it's not the same. So yeah,
So
but
the app developer will need help. It's not just the app developer that can create all of this.
yeah, so the web developer, like it's totally different. Also, they're on the like coding side, and it's yeah. I don't do development. I'm not into coding. I have a like a more like, and like I'm not into it a lot, but I have an idea of it. But yeah, you have for each one you have someone dedicated to.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
I hope I answered your question. I don't know.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, thanks. Okay. Is it better to register the design before testing? What do you mean by register the design? Yeah. Um, so is it better to register the design before testing it? So you mean as a copyright process and design? Um, I'm not sure if I understood the question, sorry. Okay, the layout. Um, yeah, so you can test it. You can test your design when it's in an early stage, like with 3 to 5 users. You can test it just to see if the idea works, and then if you want to test your design on a large scale, like to a lot of users, yeah, it's better to have kind of a final product because yeah, if you're sending it to 20 people and they're not gonna just look into sketches and like empty squares, it needs to have a visual uh, design. Did I answer your question? What about copywriting? Yes, so content creation and is is another thing. Like there are also people content creators that work on the content, and this is a very important part uh, because especially now, like to use it's very important to use the right text to be like a very human, like speaking with the users. So yeah, this you can hire someone for this, like a copywriter that does this job. But a UX UI designer can help you, for example, if you have a section where you have a title, subtitle, and the picture, they can, for example, tell you, okay, in this section, just use 4 words so that it doesn't look too long. This what the UX UI designer does. And sometimes I add text, but definitely you need to refine it with someone who's specialized in content creation. Yeah, okay. You're welcome. Thank you so much. I'm happy. Okay. We need a UI designer and the team. Um, I mean, if you're in an early stage, it depends, like how, like if you want to launch soon or not, like if you have a deadline, then maybe you will need a UX UI designer to speed up the work, But if you have time to do your own research, the competitor analysis and everything, then you can do it on your own. Even if you did like your research and then you just want someone just to do the user to do. Sometimes for example, me personally, I take projects only user interface and I do the UX work like without having a deep analysis of it. Like it can also be done like this, but it depends on the designer. Yeah. Okay, so you did the prototype, you mean? Yes, the logo is the graphic design part. It's the brand identity, the colors you want to include, and yeah. this is different from the UX UI. So you just the logo and the brand identity set the tone of your product. But then when designing, it helps, by the way, in concepting and UI concepting to have a brand identity, a direction, so that the UI can follow this direction in a way, and even make it better. يعني. Yeah. So, any questions? I will share my email in the chat also if someone wants to contact, because someone asked about my. Okay. Okay. This is a very important question. So, what can be done to avoid misunderstandings between the dev team and UX UI team? Okay, so first, the UI needs to be done, all the comments needs to be given before handing over to developers. This stage is very important for developers. So once this is done, then the designer briefs the developer, and what really helps here, if they have a design system, for example, the typography styles. So you have a design system where you put, okay, for the heading, you're using this font size, for the subtitles, this font size, these are the colors we're using, those are the components. It's very important also to have like the grid, where if we're using, like if it's the grid, it means the columns, how it's where the content is inside this grid. Components needs to be pixel perfect, so everything needs to be like organized. And so having this design system and taking the developer through the screens and the flow, and the designer should really be clear with the flows and how each button works. This way, I don't think there will be any misunderstandings. If there's a clear design system, if the icons, for example, are inside the frame, like the developers won't find any problem if they have all these materials. You can check out design systems, for example, in Figma community. Maybe I can show you here some stuff. Oh, no, I can't open it right now. So yeah, check Figma community. You can find a lot of resources there, pre-made templates, anything, just to get an idea of also of the modern designs, and yeah. Any question, if anyone wants to share something.
Okay, I guess that's it. Thank you, Rayan. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.